Welcome to Small Business Big Visibility. We are so fortunate to have Sterling Crawford with us today. He is a serial entrepreneur. He has worked in the professional world, started several businesses, been involved in different ventures. Sterling, tell everybody about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Sterling Crawford. Started my first business in high school and have been primarily self-employed since then. So that was 2006.
So tell us about your business ventures. How did you get started in high school in business?
Yeah, great question. So in short, I had a friend at the time who was like, hey man, I'm learning from these guys and I would love for you to join me so we could start a business together. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And at the time I was living in Nampa and these guys were meeting at the Comfort Suites over by the airport.
All right.
I didn't have a car, so I jumped on my little BMX bike and I pedaled all the
From
way down there.
Nampa?
Yeah.
How many miles is that? That's a fair
great
ride.
question. I have no idea. I didn't count. I just put my headphones on and I got to pedaling. So I got there and was fortunate to meet a really intelligent human. His name was Lynn, and he was just sharing some concepts about business and understanding like the power of connection, networking, relationships, things like that. And long story short, turned out it was Amway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I was like, this is interesting. I mean, obviously I was a teenager. I didn't
Sure.
know anything about business or Amway or anything like that. Not that it's a negative experience, but it was eye-opening. So I started going to like the big conventions and, I got involved in like trying to like peddle the energy drinks and, I didn't have a garage, but I had a backpack full of stuff.
Nice.
So that was interesting, but it gave me a introduction into putting things into action ultimately. I had some good mentors prior to that point that tried to give me insights in business, but I was just too young to listen. I didn't really have the maturity or patience at the time to like really grasp the power of what they were saying. But that was my first transition into like getting it, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So where did you go after high school and after your Amway experience? What did you transition to?
Yeah, good question. So my first jump was into like graphic design, web design. I found out I was really talented at that. And a lot of my friends' parents were starting small businesses, whether it be like landscaping or, painting, things like that. And they found out I could build websites. And I was learning that in school. So I was showing them some of my projects and they were like, can you build us a website?
Oh, nice.
And I was like, yeah, actually I can. And I was doing, I don't know if you remember like Flash, but that was like the coolest stuff at the time because you do all these like neat animations and transitions and like layer things out that basic HTML pages you couldn't do at the time. So I was able to bring like that element to the website, and during that time it was like all the rage, of course. So
For sure.
yeah, I did that for a little bit, and then I got into cell phone repair, which was really interesting. So at age 19, opened up brick and mortar storefront out in Nampa on the boulevard. It was wild, but that was quite the adventure, man. I learned a lot of the back end of business on that, the dealings of how people work. There was some money involved, and I found out very quickly money changes people. So that was a short-lived adventure, but yeah, from there it was just to the moon with all the other stuff I've done. I started like a business school. It's called Boise Impact Group. We have a board of directors that are experts in different aspects of business. So whether it's finances and operations or marketing and sales, even the health and wellness aspect of being a business owner, like you can't give what you don't have. So if you're not healthy and out there like taking care of yourself, and you got a team of people that you got to take care of too, and they have families, right? So you really got to set the example on that. But with that, we educate on those different pillars, if you will, of business.
Yeah.
And then we tailor like specific roadmaps to implement it. So it's not just here's the education, good luck. It's here's the reality of the situation you are in business. We discover that together. Now what? What are we going to do? Like how are we going to make this a reality for you, right? Whatever the goal is.
Yeah.
And then we start putting together tailored roadmaps and working side by side for the implementation. For example, like hiring. We had a few members that were like, we need a hire, so we helped them build out a hiring process. And then they ran people through that system, and then they hired the right person, and now they're like, how do I develop roles and responsibilities for this individual? So we helped them write that out, right? Giving them the framework for it. And then it was like, well, how do I do the review for them, right? So then we help them understand like the review process and the accountability side of it. So we're really like engaged and almost partnered with the businesses that we work with, which is great.
So you're helping them to see where they are, see the vision of where they can get to, and then you're helping walk beside them through education and tools to get to that vision then.
For sure, yeah. And the accountability side, I don't feel like accountability is a buzzword, How do you feel about that?
Everything's a buzzword, it seems
can
like.
be, right?
Yeah. They just kind of cycle. So maybe accountability is today's buzzword, right?
Yeah. I hear it a lot, right? And so, for those of you listening to the podcast, I think the next question, if you're talking to somebody or already working with somebody who's positioned as a coach, mentor, a guide, accountability partner, whatever it is, start asking the question like how, especially if you're in that purchasing phase and you're interviewing people to help you with your business. They're going to sell you the moon. They're going to make it sound incredible. Like it's the easy button. They're going to solve all your world problems. But ask the how, and then dive a little bit deeper. They might give you like an aspect of the program that they use, but dive deeper, right? Like, how are you as an individual going to help me as an individual actually do this stuff? Because really, at the end of the day, you're not buying the program. You're buying the person who's implementing the program. And you've got to be able to have that connection and that like workability factor to it. So
yeah. So tell me, you've started this, but you've also had so many other businesses in the past. What do you view as your biggest success to date?
Ooh, biggest success? Definitely my academy. That was amazing.
And what made that the success?
Yeah, that's a darn good question. What made that a success? There's a lot of layers to that. So we had 14 programs.
Okay. Wow.
Again, anywhere, different athletic programs, tutoring. We had, parent coaching systems. We had counseling services. I mean, just you name it. We had an offsite daycare program that we ran. We had homeschool classes, just all avenues, education and family. Like we became that center for it, right? What made it the success, I would honestly say, is just another buzzword here, the authenticity of it, if that makes sense. No one was selling anything. It was more or less a community that we had built. And when people were looking for something specific, they either fit or they didn't fit. And so we had an interview process that every family went through so we could identify, are we the right fit for you? And more important, are you the right fit for us? And that really helped us kind of cultivate that tone, that atmosphere, that energy, if you will, into all of the programs that was consistent. And beyond that, honestly, what made it a success, when a family would walk into the school and, like 6-year-old Roger meets them at the door and they're like, hey, nice to meet you. Are you here for a tour? Like, let me introduce you to like a couple of the instructors. And, oh, by the way, this is another program that we have. And we also do this. Like that is eye-opening, I think, at the end of the day. Like, as a parent, you walk in and you got some 6-year-old kid who's like mature and focused and could talk intelligently. Like that was powerful, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that just came through like the hard work of it all and the amazing team that we had.
So how do you measure success? What does success even mean to you?
You got to move the needle. Talk is cheap, guys. Everyone's got something to say. But look at the action at the end of the day. If you're not moving the needle in the right direction, which honestly you have to figure out where to, use needle, pin in the map, whatever you want to call it. Like,
sure.
You have to identify where you're going first, and then work backwards from there. What's required to actually achieve that, and then hold yourself accountable to like, are you sticking to that? We all know there's a lot of distractions out there.
Oh yeah, all day, every day.
Dude, it's rough. But you could be busy doing all the work things that are not moving the needle. And so it's interesting, actually, just this last week, we came up with like that accountability factor within Boise Impact Group, as we just ask each other, are we moving the needle? Or if we're talking about a specific topic, we'll pause, is that moving the needle? And so we're just checking in more or less to make sure that our efforts, our time, our energy, all those resources that are finite are going towards the end goal of making the impact that we want to make. So how do I measure success? I would say in the action and then the growth that results from that action.
So moving from that, do you have any successes or tools or strategies that have worked well for you that you want to share with our audience?
Yes. I've got a lot, man. I could talk on that for hours.
Well, they don't want to listen that long, so you're going to have to keep it short.
I would say step one, know who you are. Like really dive into that deep. That's a tough question to answer. There's a lot of labels that you could place onto it. So a good example is, who are you? Oh, well, I'm a business owner. I'm a father. I'm a Christian. I am a graduate of BSU. Like I'm a Seahawks fan, you know?
Right.
There's these labels that we put onto that question because it's easy, but it's not really an easy question when you think about it. So I've been defaulting back to these three questions, and I mentioned earlier, a good friend of mine, Robert Haynes, really put this into a framework that makes sense and is easy to understand. And the three questions are: who are you? Who do you want to become? And then what's required to become that person? And when you step back and think about that, it's tough to answer that. I bet that segues into like values, like your decision-making process. How do you filter that kind of stuff, right? Like what do you live by at the end of the day? What words define who you are? And then as you move the needle and you're doing those actions, does that align with those words? And if not, then you got to kind of question that a little bit at the end of the day, right? But if it is an alignment, it should feel natural. It should feel easy. And like all things is when you start building success, people start to kind of put a target on you, right? You get the support, the congratulations and stuff from a distance.
Yep.
But then you also get those people that are like, oh, well, let me talk about that person, or let me stir the pot, or let me try to pull attention away from them, or whatever the case may be. And when you really know who you are at the end of the day, man, that stuff doesn't bother you. Like, it just is water off the back. People could say whatever they want. Like, you know who you are. Someone could attack your character, and you're like, that's entertaining. Where did that come from? That's odd, right?
Yeah.
So it's that position of security and knowing who you are that enables you to like stay true to the mission that you're on, so you can succeed in what it is that you want to succeed in. And again, just the more secure you are, the easier it becomes. So.
Gotcha. So I hear you saying
Yeah.
that identify who you are as an individual, and then ensure that the business you're building supports the vision of who you are or who you want to become. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So think of like business as a tool, right? It's like, what a lot of people I find when you ask the big why are you doing what you're doing? It's usually like freedom, finances, or family. And that's the driver behind it, right? So then it's like, well, why? Let's dig deeper. Why do you want freedom? Right? Oh, well, I just don't want to work for somebody else. Oh, I get that.
Sure.
I think we all get that, right? I don't want to make the big man money when I can make my own money, right? But when you start digging a little bit deeper into that, it's like it needs to be aligned at the end of the day. Because if you're chasing freedom, what does that look like? Is it a dollar amount? Is it time freedom? Is it flexibility and environment and geographical location? There's so many things to consider into that freedom, but that should align with the core things that are driving you personally and professionally. But that business is the tool. I don't know personally that anyone's like, maybe nonprofits, but anyone who's like, hey, I started this plumbing company because, man, I'm just so passionate about plumbing. I just want to plumb until the day I die. Like, I love soldering pipe or whatever. Like, there's truth to that, but is that really why you're doing it?
Right. They may enjoy the work, but there's
Yeah.
always another reason.
Yeah, 100%, right?
So how do you take then, if work and business is the tool to help drive a person towards their goals, how do you balance the work and the rest of life?
Oh, man. Jason's coming in with the good questions today, guys. That's a golden question, man. There's tools out there, right, like time blocking and stuff. But it's interesting to me because everything that I've done business-wise, everything that I've built and created and gone out and brought into the world, it's fun. Like, I really do enjoy it. It doesn't feel like work. It's not like I've got to hit these metrics today so I could hit that tomorrow so I could have that freedom that I want. It's like I'm connecting with people, which is important, right? I think we all want connection. People are being seen, heard, and valued. Like, I want that, And so that, to me, is fulfilling. And then when I could implement and help people find their own keys to unlock their own doors in their own journey and give that empowerment to them, that focus, that direction, that framework, however we approach that, you see that light bulb click.
All right.
Yeah.
So many entrepreneurs started a business and they had that passion, that fire, that excitement, but it gets just beat out of them. And I'm sure you've seen that as well. Maybe you've even experienced, I don't know. I don't know if you could ever have the light beat out of you, but so many people have.
I've been hit a lot, man. I did fight for a long time. So,
so how do you propose that somebody takes this idea that they've been beat down for years? They went from that vision to now they're in that daily grind and they can't escape that daily grind. What should they do? What should shift? What should adjust? What is one tool that they could take to help reignite that passion so that they can move back towards that vision and back out of that I'm stuck and I feel pressure to move but I can't?
Yeah, it's crippling at times. I have experienced that. I've definitely felt that. When you hit that point in business where you're burnt out, you're beat down, you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you're just grinding. Come back to home. Who are you? Who do you want to become? And what's necessary to make that happen?
So I hear you saying have the confidence to make those hard shifts in your life so that you can realign when necessary.
Yeah. And it's freeing, to say the least. I'm sure every business owner has experienced this at one point. You worked a job you hated, but you needed the paycheck.
Right.
So you show up, you do the grind, you can't stand your coworkers, you're like, this environment sucks. And then you exit that environment, and it's like that boost. You could, like a kid tying their shoes. I'm unstoppable. I could do anything. You made that hard thing happen, like leaving the environment. What's in front of you? The road is open. You could literally do anything. Yeah. And I think you discover so much about you in that process too. So I'm not advocating quit. I'm not saying shut down your business or any of that stuff, but discover, again, who are you? Who do you want to become? What's necessary to make that happen?
Awesome. So how can our listeners get a hold of you, contact you, or find out more about Boise Impact Group?
You guys could contact me, social media, of course, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Sterling Crawford. You guys might find me under Ninja Viking. That's my Instagram handle.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a story behind that.
And what about Boise Impact Group?
Yeah, just Google us. Honestly, so we're Idaho only. We're not going national or anything like that. We're just here to really help the local community. Our board of directors are all local, 30 plus years in their industry, doing some cool stuff. So there's a really neat team that you guys get to work with on that. But yeah, just BoiseImpactGroup.com. We've got all the info out there. You guys could schedule meetings with us, grab a coffee, check out what we do, all that fun stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Small Business Big Visibility. If this episode inspired you, I'd love it if you would share it with another business owner that could use that inspiration, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode.